which game got the 2024 Anaheim 1 Supercross track most correct between MX Simulator, MX Bikes, and MX vs. ATV Legends? We wanted to take a look at which game got the track most correct, and obviously there are modded creators that are creating the Sim and Bikes version, where the Rainbow Studios crew actually made this MX vs. ATV Legends version. But of course, the race was ran on January 6th, 2024. We're going to start off with MX Simulator, which was released 3 days before by Race Factory Gaming, because of course the Race Factory Gaming Moto Option Supercross Championship runs the week of, or the week prior, I guess, basically the real race. The real race, of course, won by RJ Hampshire in the 250 class, Jet Lawrence in the 450 class. And I think it's kind of cool to take a look at these and see which game kind of got the track the most correct, and how the lines kind of shaped up from when we played this track before the actual race happened, and then obviously after the race happened as well. Sim Bikes both had their tracks come out before the race, and then MX vs. ATV Legends had their track come out after. We'll explain a little bit about that. You're seeing a couple of the sections of the track that ended up being different in real life than what we saw in the game. So in Sim, this triple right here was actually a double in real life. The section before jumping across the start straight was a little bit different as well. This section right here, which was a Dragon's Back on the map and was actually a Dragon's Back on press day, they then cut it down and turned it into like this kind of triple thing a little bit as well. So things changed a little bit, but I think it's going to be kind of cool to, I guess, relive this a little bit. And what we're going to do from now until Anaheim 1 in 2025 is do this every week with every single track from the 2024 season. So let's take a look at a lap around Anaheim 1 in MX Simulator. Big double across the start, and then a Supercross triple right here. And then this rhythm section, they were pretty much all going triple, quad, quad, single. Jet Lawrence went quad 5 on press day, and then they cut that jump down a little bit. But you'll see that pretty much every game that line is doable. I was not able to do it consistently in MX Bikes, so we're not going to show that very well. 2 back-to-back sets of whoops. I think all 3 games got the whoops correct in terms of how many whoops there are. And then this tricky on-off section right here, they were actually kind of like wheeling into it and then tripling from table to the backside of the single, then 2-2 in real life. None of the games ended up kind of getting that correct, because it's pretty hard to do that. Like, it's a very tricky maneuver to do this wheelie pop line thing off of the step jump that they had. But for the rest of the track, Sim got it pretty close. Obviously, wall jump coming across the start straight, sand section, and then this Dragon's Back, which was wrong, but they had this small little double going into the finish line jump. And layout-wise, it was correct, just a few things wrong. So let's take a look at a lap here on the MX Simulator version of the track, and you guys can check it out for yourself. Now let's talk about the MX Bikes version, which of course was released on the Friday before the real Anaheim 1, released by Stone Rider with some help with the ARL track crew, because of course the MX Bikes Series Aerial Racing League was ran on the Fridays before the real races. So this is why this track dropped 1 day before. And you're going to see a lot of the same stories, I guess, basically that we saw with the sim track, where there's a triple at the bottom of the screen. There's actually a double in real life. This, they flip-flop, though. The MX Bikes crew put the like raised roller on the inside, where in real life it was actually on the outside. So sim got that correct. Here's that triple that I mentioned that was actually a double in real life. And actually the double behind it that was a much smaller, the Dragon's Back, going across the start straight into what was 2 rollers in real life. The MX Bikes crew got it to be a double. But actually, I think that they maybe nailed this a little bit closer to what we should have expected out of it than the sim track, because the sim track had a couple lines that were probably a little bit too unrealistically big. But again, double across the start, triple, and then, like I said, this was pretty much 3-4-4-1 for everybody IRL. Even 250 guys are doing it pretty consistently. It's definitely doable in bikes. I just kind of kept framing it the first quad and never got comfortable enough to do the second one, consistently. So just showed off those little bits. Again, outside here was actually a double over, and then they do like this little wheelie thing pop over this. So that's correct. But then every game got this wrong, which was triple single into the corner. Nobody IRL was doing that. It was way too steep, way too tricky. So again, kind of the limitations that we have, where a video game, you can do some unrealistic things because it's a video game. There's no problem with getting hurt. Whereas IRL, they're maybe not going to go for something that would be a little bit too risky. Now, I feel like Sim and Bikes probably made that section a little bit too easy to begin with. But either way, I think both of them kind of got the mark correct with what the track was supposed to look like, just a little bit off with what it ended up being like in real life. So again, let's take a look at what it looked like in MX Bikes from first-person cam. And then lastly, we have MX versus ATV Legends, of course, the Rainbow Studios crew putting this together. They released the first 6 or 7 rounds of Supercross very late, February 20th, as you see here, because they actually announced that this was coming as a DLC pack very late as well. Like, we were a couple rounds into Supercross before they even said that this was going to be happening. So we didn't get it for a while, but eventually we did. And of course, they got the ability to make pretty much all the changes to the track to fit what real life was like. So technically speaking, Legends got the track the most correct, but I wanted to play it and compare it to Bikes and Sim to see if line-wise, basically everything kind of felt the same with doing kind of the big lines. Legends, obviously a little bit more of an arcade game because it's not on PC. The PC games tend to be a little bit more realistic. This is an arcade game. So this one, there's a little bit too much free play, I feel like, with the big lines that you can do that you just were impossible in Sim and Bikes to do. But we'll go ahead and break it down anyway. Here's that, like I said, they fixed the double here. They fixed the Dragon's back that went across the start straight. Everything that they did, they pretty much got it as close as to what the real track was as possible, but they had a month and a half of hindsight to be able to fix those things up. So again, double over the finish line, triple into this corner. That's all correct. No problems there. Out of this one, triple in. Very easy to go triple, quad, single. And if you're carrying a little bit more speed, you can absolutely go quad 5, which, is it unrealistic? Yes, but Jet Lawrence also did it IRL. So if they, had the track a little bit more realistic to what it was supposed to be, I think at the end of the day, it would have been just about the same. It's not that much of a difference anyway. The whoops are all correct. This, again, to the outside was a double, and then they'd wheelie into this, backside that, and then 2-2 into the corner. You can very easily go quad right there. I'm riding the track just horrendously so while playing it in third person. I tend to do a little bit better first person in this game, but some inside options here. The big wall jump right here, I think that they made it a little bit longer than the IRL version just because it plays better on this. So again, you're seeing liberties being taken with the creators of the game and just trying to make things flow a little bit better. But anyway, we're going to do an onboard lap of this. Let me know what you guys think. Which game nailed the track the best, and which track do you think is the most fun of the 3 games? So let's take a look at it again here in first person in Legends.